Did we start that over? Okay, we're starting that over because our sound wasn't on. So.
Here we go! Take two.
I'm Melanie Krause. I'm the head winemaker for Cinder Winery. And we're broadcasting live from our tasting room in Garden City, Idaho. This is my husband and partner in crime, Joe Schnurr.
Hello, America.
So tonight we are tasting our 2019 dry Viognier. If you haven't poured yourself a glass of that or something else, please do so.
Yummy, 2019, Viognier.
And we want to remind you that this is a series, so next week we'll be tasting the new Laissez-Faire Red that went out in your wine club allocation. And also, you can check these videos out if you miss them on our YouTube channel. You can be our 14th subscriber. So
Be number 14. I've always wanted to. Okay, Mel, you're going to open the bottle?
Yes.
Mel's going to pop open the bottle. I'm going to tell everybody that we have been having a blast doing this. I think this is the 7th week in a row here during the pandemic lockdown that we've been doing the virtual live tasting. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from people, and we've decided that we're going to keep doing some sort of virtual tasting for the foreseeable future on a weekly basis. That means that we need some ideas from you guys, what wines you want us to taste, maybe vintages you want us to review. We can crack into the library. Also, any special guests, people from the cellar, from the winemaking industry, or from the culinary arts industry here in Idaho. We'd be happy to move and go to different locales and shoot some other live broadcasts. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then remember, during the entire broadcast today, shoot us questions, pairing suggestions, anything that's on your mind. We have our assistant winemaker, Haley Alexander, behind the camera today, and she'll be writing down questions and pairing suggestions on the whiteboard for us. And then we've got our keyboard warrior, Tyler Bradley, our tasting room manager. He is online with you guys right now, answering any questions as well. So thanks for joining us, and let's start drinking and talking, right?
Yeah, check out the Viognier. And if you hear any background noise or laughing, it's because our tasting room's open. Yay.
Yes.
So we have a few groups very widely spaced in the tasting room.
Absolutely.
And some music going. It's a real tasting room again. So, should we talk Viognier?
We should.
Well, I, for one, love talking about Viognier because I think of all the wines that we make, Viognier is the one that we've kind of focused on the most and done the most experimentation. And
that's true.
I think learned the most about how to grow it, how to make it.
I want to say this was our first white wine for Cinder back in 2007. That was our first vintage, correct?
Well, 2006 we made Syrah, in 2007 we made Viognier and Rosé.
First white wine. So why did you choose something that I'd never heard of, that's impossible to pronounce? Why Viognier? Did you want us to go bankrupt right away? Was this sort of an idea of kind of like a really quick fiscal disaster?
Yeah, I was trying to get it over with before COVID-19 hit. So
this is a long time ago. You were just being merciful. You were saying, look, this isn't going to work, so I'm going to pick a relatively obscure white wine that no one's probably heard of to base our entire gamble on.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. I like that. It turned out well. You're not as masochistic as I thought.
Well, I do like to be iconoclastic every once in a while.
Please, how merciful of you to do that, but why? Give us a why. I mean, seriously, Viognier.
Okay, well,
I'd never heard of it before you started talking to me about it. Maybe in 04? Something like that. Before we'd started Cinder, you started talking to me about this. Why? Why?
Well, we started making Viognier because when I was becoming a winemaker, well, I was already a winemaker in Washington, working for Chateau Ste. Michelle, and I was always spying on Boise, my hometown, to see if I could do my career here in Boise. And so I became a judge for the Idaho Wine Competition, so I could taste everything everybody was making and see what was going on, see what was good. And the wine that I found the most compelling of all those, we were tasting some 100 or so wines from about At that time, not very many wineries, 10 or 15 wineries at the time. But the wine that I found the most compelling was the Viognier, and it just had amazing aromatics, great balance, and the thing about Viognier that is so interesting is...
Wait a second. Let me, if I can interrupt. You were spying? All these years ago, she was spying on the industry. And you were down here, like, what, visiting family?
Yep.
And you get to be a judge.
Seeing my parents and judging the competition.
So these people trusted you to come in and be a judge, and you turn around and you get some secret information, you smuggle it back to Washington, and it's that you love this grape. Had you worked with this grape at all in Washington?
No.
But you loved it in Idaho.
Well, I knew about it.
You knew about it?
I learned about it from Juan, our winemaker, now head winemaker for Chateau Ste. Michelle, Columbia Crest, etc., the whole parent company. He was the one who first introduced us to it.
We need to have Juan on one of these Facebook Lives if he has time in his busy schedule.
That would be very fun. But
Yeah, okay. So I got you. So you find out about this. Let me look at my notes here, quick. This is really important for
well,
me.
I have a lot to say.
Oh,
so if you could just be quiet for a second, I'd finish my story.
I know, but I just wanted to say it smells so good.
Thank you. Okay. So anyway, before you interrupted me, I was talking about...
Well, you were going to talk about what you had known about Viognier, and that it was a little bit...
Well, it's picky. It's
picky.
difficult to grow, but these Idaho Viogniers, they were compelling. There were 5 or 6 examples being made, and they had amazing aromas, and they had that characteristic Viognier viscosity. So those are kind of the 2 things that Viognier is famous for, is these amazing aromatics and then this heaviness to it that's almost oily when you drink it. And there, at that competition, there were amazing Syrahs and Tempranillos as well, but those grapes are not as tricky to grow. They're not as difficult to make. So while I was very enthused about making them, the Viognier was what compelled me to start thinking about Snake River Valley as being a particularly special place to grow certain varieties of wine.
Excellent. I love that. That's cool, because wine is about place, and you were evaluating the Snake River Valley all those years ago, even though you were in Washington, and immediately Viognier pops out. You haven't made any cinder wine yet, but Viognier stands out to you. I remember you talking to me about it, that you met people down here. I think it was Brad, wasn't it Brad Pintler that you met down here? And you said there was great people, great opportunity. So it definitely planted a seed. This particular grape, don't you think, sort of planted that seed in your head?
I knew that if I came to Boise and started a winery, that would be one of the grapes that we made. There was no doubt in my mind about that. But how's it been to sell it, Joe? What's it been like selling it? Since you were so afraid that we were going to go bankrupt with this white wine that nobody could pronounce and nobody had ever heard of.
I just want to know, out there in the Facebook world, before you were introduced to Viognier from Cinder, how many of you had Cinder before? Show of hands.
How many of you had Viognier before?
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
How many had Viognier before? Show of hands. Not many. And I think that is one of the things that was kind of hilarious when I was sent out to sell our first vintage. Now that was the 07 vintage, so I was introducing that to people at the farmers market here in Boise in 2008, and taking it to a few restaurants, to Richard's, to Red Feather. Dave Crick was enthused about it, and taking it to Andre at Andre's, he's now up in Walla Walla. Shout out to Andre. Some of the people, the professional people, knew how to pronounce it, but most people didn't know how to say Viognier. And so I thought, okay, that's great. This is going to fail. They can't even pronounce it. But I got into, fortunately for us, I had 2 years of high school French. Ergo, I got it.
I wish I had taken French in high school.
And I mean,
it would help with my career.
Vincent Cazone, he was my French teacher. I think he wore his pants up to about here. It was a good look back then. But I had the pronunciation down, and I want to work with you people on how to pronounce Viognier. And you guys, we're getting great pairing suggestions. Keep sending them to us, and descriptors. But first we need to know how to even say what we're drinking. And for everybody out there, just focus in here on the kisser. It is Viognier. You try that, Mel.
Viognier.
Little bit, give me the V, but go V. O. See that O? And then down. Viognier.
Viognier.
Now remember, it ends with yay, which is a great point because it smells so good. But here's the point. The key to this is it's a French word, right? We don't stress any of the syllables. There's no accent. All right, it's not Viognier. It's not. You have to be really bored. Imagine almost that you just came from the dentist and you're numb here, and just say Viognier. Now let me try.
Just flat.
Just
Viognier.
Viognier. Right in the camera.
Viognier.
Got it. All right. So if you're bored, now if you mispronounce it, if you say Viognier, then it sounds like you're talking about maybe a famous German composer or something like that.
Which is good too.
Yeah.
But just shorten it to Vio in that case.
Yeah. Viognier. It's awkward, but just the first time.
Yeah, but it's worth it. I like this first pairing suggestion. It's pair Viognier with another glass.
Boom, done. We are getting loose tonight because Melanie is going morel hunting this weekend. So Daddy is drinking up tonight because she gets to put the kids to bed, and then I have them for 3 nights in a row. It's morel season here in Idaho, in case you don't know that, and that's what we've mostly been doing, along with trying to gently guide the winery here. We really have a great team, so we don't need to do much. So this is the grape that brought you back to Idaho. Thanks, Viognier, because we really enjoy having you making wine here, and we love having Haley make wine here in Idaho. What is it like to work with? You said it was picky. It sounds like a little bit of a prima donna. I like that because there's a lot coming at me. I mean, it seems to be worth the struggle, but tell us a little bit about the grape. Oh, grilled peach, sage, and prosciutto pizza is a pairing suggestion. I had to slide that in.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Okay, well, let me tell you a little bit about Viognier and what it's like to make.
Don't tell me. Tell them.
Yeah, okay. So I think that Viognier is the wine that we make that we're the most sort of countercultural with. There's these truisms out there in the industry about Viognier, and we have been experimenting with Viognier and studying it, and we've thrown a lot of those out the window. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. So the things that people love about Viognier are the beautiful aromatics and that viscosity we were talking about earlier. And then the things that sometimes people don't like are that Viognier tends to be a little bit bitter. It's that sort of bitterness of, like, if you're making a cocktail and you use a little lemon rind and you squeeze it, or you're eating a grapefruit, it's got just that hint of grapefruit oil or lemon oil to it. And if you're a black coffee drinker and you like your grapefruits, then you don't even notice, but some people might find that a little bit of a drawback. And then the other thing is alcohol level. Sometimes it's pretty high, and so the bitterness and the alcohol kind of hit you at the end and can make the wine feel a little bit heavy, a little unbalanced.
Wait. You chose a grape. Let me just get this right. You chose a grape to structure our entire business around that no one can pronounce, no one has heard of, can be bitter, and can be hot, high in alcohol.
That's right.
Okay, you're a psycho. Go ahead.
That pretty much sums it up.
Okay.
So those are the things that people don't like about Viognier, but what we found through our experimenting is, first of all, Snake River Valley grows awesome Viognier. The aromatics are so there. All this fruit, flowers, sort of these lemon or yeah, like citrus blossom
Stone fruit,
and peach and yeah,
peach for sure.
and grapefruit. I think
Yeah.
grapefruit is a huge one.
Yeah.
And the viscosity is really nice. But what was exceptional about these Snake River Valley Viogniers was also that they are graceful. They have enough acidity. The bitterness is at a manageable level. The alcohols weren't out of control. And we've just kind of taken a look at that through our winemaking through the years. And a couple things we've done is we've adjusted the timing, the maturity with which we pick the grapes. We pick them a lot less mature than I think a lot of other winemakers do. And what I think that does is the grape develops the aromatics early, but I think the longer that we ripen it, the higher that alcohol gets, and we start to have a little bit of trouble with the bitterness and the alcohol clashing. So we want to keep the alcohol relatively low for Viognier, and by that I mean like 13.5 or so percentage, that's low just for a Viognier. You can find Viogniers 14.5, really quite high alcohols.
Sure.
And then the other thing that's sort of iconoclastic about the way we make Viognier, it's kind of an interesting fun fact, is that we have our growers pick it machine picked intentionally. We want them to machine pick it, not hand pick it. And the reason we do that is because when you're machine picking, you can pick in the middle of the night. So they generally are picking about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning when the temperatures are the lowest they're going to be all day. And when you're machine picking, you can pick a whole block just like that. It's so fast. And then we're picking it up at the vineyard and bringing it into the winery about daybreak. And it's in the press, and the whole thing's done. It's pressed off the skins by the time we're having second breakfast.
No, you're a hobbit.
By the time I'm having second
You're a
breakfast,
hobbit.
and my crew's working really hard.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But you are a winemaker and a hobbit. You have second breakfasts. I didn't know that. I have to say that. I mean, let's start talking about this wine. Let's give me some descriptors, folks. Pairing suggestions as well. To me, super aromatic. Like, this is possibly the most aromatic wine that you make. Very powerful.
Probably.
And then the viscosity, the weight in it. To me, it's almost like it's got body, it's got weight to it. I call it sometimes the red wine drinker's white wine, right? Many times early on, getting to know the community here in Boise, I would pour this wine for folks, and the men in the crowd that had more of a proclivity for red wines would.
Oh, it's the men, is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is. I think it's fair to say
I think
that.
a lot of women would say, "Oh, I only drink red wine too."
Really?
Just saying. But go ahead.
Crazy. Well, the guys would say, "Oh," and they would taste it, and they'd be like, "This, I would drink this white wine," and it seems to be the case that people always remark on the body to it.
Yeah.
Like, it has weight and structure to it. To the Viognier does that is reminiscent in a way of like a Chardonnay, what people might like from a Chardonnay. They like body, but then you're getting all of the flavors and aromas that you would enjoy in an aromatic white wine like a Sauvignon Blanc or a Riesling. It seems to bring the best of both worlds. Is that a fair analysis?
Yeah, I think so. That's one reason why I staked our whole fortune on this obscure, hard to pronounce grape.
So, speaking of staking your fortune on a gamble, when did you agree to marry me? Just kidding. That was a gamble. But speaking about Viognier, if you were to put one wine in front of, let's say Wine Spectator, okay, they finally would come visit us. They haven't, because we're in Idaho. If they came here and they said, just one wine, I just want to taste one of your wines. I mean, you've got Syrah, you've got Tempranillo, the Valentina, you have the off-dry Riesling, you have Viognier. It's this grape, though. It's this bottle you would give them, isn't it?
Quite possibly. I think it's the most sort of exceptional wine we make. It's delicious, and it's different from, it's like, I guess I would feel comfortable staking our Viognier up against any Viognier in the world.
Okay, so that's saying a lot, but I like what you just said. I agree with you. drink a lot of Syrah. We drink a lot of Malbec in other people's Syrahs and Malbecs, and there's some great stuff out there. And there's some gorgeous Tempranillos out there, and we make a great Tempranillo too. But Viognier, really well executed Viognier, it's more rare, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's less widely planted in the world, but then it's also, as we were talking about, hard to make and hard to grow, so less likely to be successful, I think.
This is the wine that I think has been, for me, the one that I when I started tasting it with you all those years ago, I started to build a ton of confidence in, because I kept going to other Viogniers, and except for certain regions, especially in France, which you should probably tell us about, it's hard to find a Viognier of this quality.
Yeah.
So tell me about where is Viognier really from? What's that region like? What do you know about it?
Well, I think we could consider Viognier's homeland to be Condrieu. I won't even try to pronounce that in French because I can't do it. But, phonetic English, Condrieu. That's in the Northern Rhone in France. They say that they've been growing it since Roman times. And Joe and I went there on a research trip,
We did it for you. We went there for you.
Back when we first started up Cinder, we had Cinder going for 3 years or so when we went to study Viognier and Syrah, two main grapes that we started out with. And it was a really good trip, and we learned a lot about Viognier. But really, I think mostly we've learned how we like our Viognier, how to make it our style through our own experimentation here in the winery. But it was a wonderful place to visit.
Now, I remember this because we were in Lyon, and second biggest city in France, and unbelievable. And there actually to the north it was Burgundy, and into the south was the Rhone. So we're surrounded by world-class wine regions in almost every direction, and Lyon has. They say it's the culinary capital of France. So you had this particular vision in mind when we went, and what was that? You wanted to go to Lyon, and what did you want to do?
Oh, well, I had heard that the thing to eat in Lyon for breakfast was raw oysters on the half shell with Viognier for breakfast. And so we were like, I mean, that can't be true, right? That sounds so bizarre.
Yeah.
But we went to a beautiful market in Lyon, and
the Les Halles, right? The famous one. This amazing indoor food market.
And we sat down at I guess it was just a restaurant, or I don't know if it was a seafood market or what, but we sit down and we see right there on the menu, they've got the pot of Viognier you can order and the oysters on the half shell. So we order it, and pretty soon, right next to us, a businessman in a suit sits down. This is about 10 a.m. And he orders the exact same thing, and he eats an entire dozen very large oysters and his Viognier. And we're like, yes, okay, this is authentic. We felt a little bit overwrought afterwards.
Yeah, it was an incredibly rich experience. This French businessman, I'll never forget that. That was amazing. It was like he had just had a glass of water or something. He just walked off. It was just refreshing.
Dozen huge raw oysters. And a pot
the
of
French
Viognier.
know how to do that. No big deal. No big deal. And we did that, and so I absolutely love Viognier with seafood. Oysters is the favorite pairing. And I want to see some other. So we got another glass. We got grilled peach sage and prosciutto pizza. We got some questions, and I want to hear Haley. What's Haley's favorite pairing too? If she can write that on a board, and if she can get us some of these questions, it'd be great. And okay, so this seems almost off dry to us. Is there some RS? Is there some residual sugar? And this has got to be the number one sort of characteristic of Viognier. It can fake you out to think it's sweet, right? I mean, there's so much fruit here.
Yeah,
there's so much sweet aroma. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so it is a dry wine. We let the yeast go all the way through. They eat all the sugar. They convert it to alcohol. So that's what makes it dry. If we wanted to make it off dry or sweet, we would stop the fermentation early so that there was a little bit of residual sugar left in the wine. Viognier can taste sweet because it has so much fruit essence, so much fruit flavor, and we all associate the flavor of fruit with the concept of sweetness. So it's in wine you can have those two things be completely separate because the yeast are removing all the sugar, but that doesn't mean they're removing the fruit flavors. And also alcohol, pure alcohol itself actually has a sense of sweetness to it. So just those things are making the wine feel or taste a little bit sweet, even though there's no sugar left.
And the body too. I find the viscosity of this, it's reminiscent. It's not the same, but it's reminiscent of unctuous, a sweet experience. Almost like a syrupy,
so rich,
but it's so
like
rich.
In the way that cream. If you're making a dessert out of cream, you hardly have to add any sugar because cream just all by itself almost tastes sweet. And that's sort of like Viognier. Like, you don't need any sugar really, or you could leave the most minuscule amount of sugar in this Viognier and it would make it taste totally sweet. Unlike a Riesling, you could leave massive amounts of sugar in a Riesling and it would still taste dry because the acidity is so high.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one more feature of Viognier, is that it does lose its acidity quite quickly. It's a relatively high pH wine, and that makes it
I had to go off screen for a second.
That makes it
Say hi to somebody.
Also taste sweeter when the acid is low. So this Viognier is kind of like the opposite of what the Riesling was that we tasted last week, in the sense that the acid's low on a Viognier, the pH is high, and in a Riesling the acid's high and the pH is
It's
low.
a solid question from Dan, though. It's something that we hear a lot of, and are you sure there's no sweetness in this? And we can guarantee you that Haley and Melanie took this one to dryness for sure. Here's a good another. Oh, this is Haley. Haley says light fish, a tilapia, and fennel and white wine sauce. Squeeze a lemon on top. Nice. You have the seafood
yummy
in there. You have the fennel, which is gonna. What would you think the fennel is gonna do with the Viognier? I mean, it's like power and power. It's good.
Well, why wouldn't you want to eat fennel at
It's a
any
good point.
opportunity?
Any opportunity. It's like oysters. It's like oysters. Very French, Haley. We're going to give you a 10 out of 10 on that.
Well, my favorite
11
pairings with
11 out of
Viognier are
Yes.
anything that's rich, like goat cheese, beets, cream soups, like cream of lobster or something like that, lobster bisque. So all of the rich stuff, that's kind of what I like. Or really, it's just like my favorite wine.
Yeah, I like to
to
pair
drink
this
all by itself.
I like to pair this with you.
Yeah.
Cheers, with hanging out with you, because it's a remarkable wine. Pasta with pesto, definitely. We got another question coming up here.
I think
what
we
do you
already
do?
answered that one, but
What do you do differently to get a dry Viognier versus an off dry?
let it
Viognier?
ferment all the way out.
Let the step back. Let the yeast eat all the sugar.
Yeah, and we used to make an off-dry style of Viognier, but we've replaced that with our off-dry Riesling, which is, I think, really a better wine to make an off-dry style out of.
And you also have yours really excited about the dry Viognier. We experimented. You and Haley experimented over the years with off dry. You also experimented with a little touch of oak as well. But the formula you have here, this winning formula, there's no new oak, right?
That's right. This is a stainless steel.
100%
fermented.
steel. This doesn't see any wood.
Well, like 1% or something negligible.
Negligible. So this is really you have it in steel that captures all the aromas, right? Stainless steel doesn't have any pores, so it's not escape. No, there's none of those little beautiful aromatic molecules are getting out like they can in oak. And you really don't need oak. You don't need to add any body to this. This has tremendous amount of body.
Great body. I mean, people do make Viognier in oak and new oak, and it's a big enough, rich enough wine it can withstand it. But this is the style that we've settled on. I mean,
this is Cinder
it would
Viognier.
be fun for a small series maybe to make an oaked Viognier again someday. But
Okay. So last call on questions and pairing suggestions, because we're going to wrap up today's live broadcast. We're going to get into the prizes, the contests, the secret code time. So shoot that stuff out here. I see goat cheese. Goat cheese, definite classic. pairing. Okay, so Melanie, would you mind? This is the last week for the Where Do You Cinder contest. That's hashtag Where Do You Cinder. People have been sending us wonderful pictures in every week. And we've had, I think, about 7 weeks of prizes. Very good. Vanna White there. We have the coral color. This is the prize. You get a coral cap here. You get the flask.
Aquamarine.
Aquamarine. I
think
love
coral's
that.
like a pink, but
Good point.
details.
Yeah, I'm colorblind. We got the flask. We got the tumbler. We've got the corkscrew. And then underneath there... What's that again? Aquamarine
hoodie.
Aquamarine hoodie.
Yeah.
That's not the hoodie. That's the
What is this?
That's the isn't that the UV hoodie? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it's the UV hoodie. Yeah, that's awesome. That's for fly fishing.
So
by the
who
way.
wins this?
Who wins it? Well, on Facebook we had the 3 finalists. They were all wonderful, and I'm going to read out. Drum roll. Where'd you go? Come back. The winner of the Where Do You Cinder contest this week is Sally and Brad. Check out the picture. You saw it, right?
Yeah, Brad, you're gonna look awesome in aquamarine.
Yeah, you're going to look sharp. Brad is in his garage, his man cave. He's drinking a GSM in a cinder stemless glass, by the way. And Brad's wife says that Brad believes GSM stands for good, strong, and manly. So that's a new thing. I didn't know that. I thought it had some other meaning to the wine, but no, good, strong, and manly.
I like that a
and
lot.
that's Haley's, by the way. That's Haley's blend.
That's right.
That was Haley's. You can see it. Haley's signature on that bottle. She dreamed that one up. So
She'll
way
have to
go.
come on in a couple weeks to present it to you.
Yeah. Well done, Brad. Cheers. Let's toast, Brad. Way to go. All right. Moving on, onward and upward. We'll get you guys free to your Friday nights. Hopefully you'll have a great time. Melanie?
Oh, yes. So don't forget that we're doing seatings in the tasting room and in our what are we calling it? Urban chic patio.
A lot of people would call it a parking lot with umbrellas, but that's not cool enough. Yes, the parking lounge. We have a parking lounge out front. Now, the parking lounge is first come, first serve, but inside our seatings are reservation only, and you can do that online, or you pick up the phone and call us, and we'll get you in here. It's great. Maximum of 4 people in your party. We'll take you through all the new wines. It'll be a wonderful experience. And then finally, what do we got?
Okay, well, we have our secret code for the week.
Secret code. Okay, so here's the deal. What's the deal, Mel?
3 bottles or more. And put the secret code in the message.
Put the secret code in the order notes when you order online. Now, this is only if you order online. Okay? 3 bottles or more, and put this secret code on there.
That says screw it.
That says screw it. And you get one of our beautiful sommelier level corkscrews. Now, again, that's 3 bottles or more online. Put it in your order notes. Type in screw it in the order notes. That's SCREWIT. That's actually 2 words put together as one, right there. Screw and it. And you're all set. Go ahead. You have a week to take advantage of that offer. Then it's gone. You'll never be able to type screw it again online and get something for free. This was fun.
It was.
I love Viognier.
Thank
I love
you for joining us.
You're a wonderful gal.
Good night, everybody, and screw it.
Stay sassy, America.